Hello there and welcome to Napflix. Tonight, we are going to spend some time with cats. Not the version you think you know, not the simple pet curled up on a cushion. The real animal, the one that invented a language just for you, that vibrates at the only frequency known to heal bone, and that can hear sounds so high-pitched they exist in a world of silence that humans will never enter. We are going to travel from the temples of ancient Egypt to the trenches of the First World War. From the deck of a ship rounding the coast of Australia to the hidden territories your cat patrols every night while you sleep. We will discover why a cat's purr may be the closest thing in nature to a medical device, why your cat knows its name and chooses not to respond, and why a slow blink from across the room might be the most sincere compliment you have ever received. If you enjoy these gentle journeys, I invite you to like, subscribe, or leave a thought in the comments. It helps others find their way here too. One sleepy soul at a time. But for now, there is nothing you need to do. Let your shoulders soften. Let your breathing slow. Let the weight of the day fall away, and allow these quiet, curious creatures to carry you gently towards sleep. Let us begin. Your cat is talking to you. It has been talking to you for years, in a language that it created specifically for you, and that no other cat on Earth would fully understand. Adult cats almost never meow at each other. This is one of the most surprising things about the sound that most people consider the defining feature of a cat. In the wild, and even in domestic settings when cats interact with other cats, the meow is almost entirely absent. Cats communicate with each other through posture, through scent, through the position of their ears and the angle of their tails, through hissing and growling, and the occasional trill. But the meow, that familiar rising sound that greets you in the kitchen, that follows you down the hallway, that wakes you at 4 in the morning with the unmistakable implication that something must be done immediately, is a sound that exists almost exclusively in the space between cats and humans. Kittens meow at their mothers. It is a request sound, a call for attention, for warmth, for milk. And in the wild, as kittens grow into adults, they stop. The meow fades from their repertoire because it is no longer useful. Other cats do not respond to it. It served its purpose during infancy, and it is discarded. But domestic cats never discard it. They keep it, they refine it. And over the course of a lifetime spent living alongside humans, they develop a vocal style so specific and so personalized that researchers have found it is almost impossible for strangers to interpret, while the cat's own human companion can often distinguish between different meows with remarkable accuracy. One sound for food, another for the door, another for general dissatisfaction with the state of things. The cat has learned, through years of trial and feedback, exactly which sound produces which result from this particular human, and it deploys them with precision. This is not instinct. This is learning. This is an animal observing a member of. Another species identifying what works, adjusting its behavior accordingly, and building a private communication system that exists only between those two individuals. If you moved your cat to a different household, it would eventually develop a different set of meows, tailored to the new human, because the old ones would no longer produce the expected results. There is one particular vocalization that takes this even further, and it is one of the most fascinating sounds in the animal kingdom. It is called the solicitation purr. On the surface, it sounds like an ordinary purr, but embedded within it, layered into the rumble at a frequency that most people cannot consciously identify, but can instinctively feel, is a high-pitched cry. The frequency of that hidden cry sits in a range that is remarkably close to the frequency of a human infant's distress call. Researchers at the University of Sussex studied this sound and found that even people who had never owned a cat rated the solicitation purr as more urgent and less pleasant than a regular purr. The cat has found a way to exploit a deeply embedded human response, the instinct to attend to a crying baby, and it has buried that signal inside a sound that otherwise communicates contentment. It is, in a sense, a Trojan horse, a demand disguised as a comfort, and it works. Cat owners who hear the solicitation purr are significantly more likely to get up and provide food than those who hear a standard purr. Your cat is not simply making noise at you. It has studied you. It has learned what moves you. And it has constructed, over months and years, a vocal toolkit designed for an audience of one. The next time your cat meows at you, understand what you are hearing. You are hearing a sound that was not meant for other cats. It was not inherited from wild ancestors. It was built piece by piece through observation and experiment for you. It is, in the truest sense, your cat's language, and you are the only person on earth who speaks it fluently. If your cat has ever settled on your chest and begun to purr, you have felt something that science is still trying to fully explain. The vibration travels through the cat's body and into yours, a low, steady, rhythmic hum that seems to soften everything it touches. Your muscles relax, your breathing slows. The room feels quieter, even though the cat is technically adding sound to it. There is something about a purr that reaches past the ears and into the body itself. And the reason for this may be more significant than anyone suspected for most of the history of keeping cats. A cat's purr typically vibrates at a frequency between 20 and 150 hertz. The strongest and most consistent vibrations fall in the range of 25 to 50 hertz. This range is not arbitrary. It overlaps precisely with the frequencies that biomedical researchers have identified as most effective for promoting tissue regeneration. Vibrations in this range have been shown to stimulate bone growth, accelerate the healing of fractures, reduce swelling, and promote the repair of tendons and muscles. Orthopedic medicine has used vibration therapy in this frequency range to treat non-healing fractures in humans. It is a frequency that the body responds to at a cellular level, and cats produce it constantly, effortlessly, as a basic function of their physiology. For a long time, the mechanism of purring was assumed to be straightforward. The prevailing theory was that cats purr by rapidly contracting and relaxing the muscles of the larynx, the voice box, at a rate of about 25 to 30 times per second. These contractions would cause the vocal folds to open and close rhythmically, producing vibrations in the airstream during both inhalation and exhalation. This would explain why a purr is continuous, unlike a meow or a growl which occurs only on the out-breath. The muscles twitch, the folds vibrate, the sound emerges. Clean and simple. But in 2023, a study from the University of Vienna complicated this picture. Researchers examined the larynxes of 8 domestic cats that had been euthanized for medical reasons unrelated to the study. What they found was unexpected. Embedded within the vocal folds of every cat were small pads of connective tissue, dense and fibrous, that had not been previously described. When air was pushed through the excised larynxes in laboratory conditions, these pads vibrated at frequencies consistent with purring, without any muscular input at all. The tissue itself was oscillating passively, the way a reed vibrates in a wind instrument. The researchers suggested that these pads might allow cats to produce the purr with far less muscular effort than previously assumed. The larynx might not need to contract 25 times per second. The pads might do much of the work on their own. If this is correct, it means the purr is not just a muscular action, but a structural property of the cat's throat. The cat does not have to work to purr. It is built to purr. The anatomy itself is tuned to the frequency range that promotes healing. This leads to one of the more compelling hypotheses about why cats purr. They do not only purr when they are content. Cats purr when they are stressed. They purr when they are in pain. They purr when they are injured, sometimes severely. They purr during labor. They purr when they are dying. Veterinarians have observed cats purring with broken bones, with serious infections in the final hours of life. This is not behavior consistent with a sound that simply means happiness. This is behavior consistent with a sound that serves a biological function. The hypothesis is that purring is, at least in part, a self-healing mechanism. The cat produces vibrations in the frequency range most effective for tissue repair, and it directs those vibrations through its own body. A cat that is injured or ill may be using its purr the way an athlete might use a therapeutic ultrasound machine, stimulating repair at the cellular level, reducing inflammation, managing pain. The fact that cats heal from bone fractures faster than dogs, despite similar injury severity, has been noted in veterinary literature for decades. The purr may be one reason why. For humans, the implications are gentler but still measurable. Studies have shown that living with a cat is associated with a reduction in blood pressure, lower levels of cortisol, and a decreased risk of cardiovascular events. A study from the University of Minnesota tracked more than 4,000 Americans over 10 years and found that cat owners were approximately 40% less likely to die of a heart attack than non-owners, even after controlling for other risk factors. The researchers were cautious about attributing causation, but the correlation was striking. Whether this is the purr itself, the calming presence of a resting animal, or some combination of both, the effect is real. A purring cat on your chest is not just a warm and pleasant sensation. It is a vibration tuned to the frequency of healing, produced by an animal that uses it to mend its own body. And it is passing through yours right now, if you are lucky enough to have one nearby. There is a question that has quietly fascinated physicists and cat owners in equal measure, and it is this: are cats liquid? The question is not entirely a joke. In 2017, a French physicist named Marc-Antoine Fardin received the Ig Nobel Prize in Physics for a paper that applied the principles of rheology, the study of how matter flows, to the behavior of cats. His argument, delivered with academic rigor and a straight face, was that a liquid is defined as a material that adapts its shape to fit the container it occupies. Cats, as anyone who has watched one pour itself into a cardboard box, a sink, a glass vase, or a space between two books on a shelf can attest, do exactly this. Given enough time, a cat will conform to the shape of whatever it is sitting in. By the formal definition of a liquid, Fardin argued, cats qualify. The reason they qualify is not magic, it is anatomy. And the anatomy is worth understanding because it reveals something extraordinary about what is happening beneath all that fur. A domestic cat has approximately 230 bones. A human has 206. The extra bones are concentrated in the spine and the tail, and they give the cat a flexibility that borders on the implausible. The cat's spine contains 30 vertebrae compared to the human's 24, and the discs between those vertebrae are exceptionally elastic, allowing the spine to flex, extend, and rotate through a range of motion that would hospitalize a person. But the most important structural difference is the collarbone. In humans, the collarbone is a rigid strut that connects the shoulder to the breastbone, locking the shoulder in place and providing a stable framework for the arm. In cats, the collarbone has been reduced to a tiny sliver of bone that is not attached to anything. It floats freely in a bed of muscle. The shoulders are held in place entirely by musculature, not by skeletal connections. This changes everything about how a cat moves and what it can fit through. Without a rigid collarbone, the cat's shoulders can compress inward, narrowing the front of the body. The entire shoulder girdle can slide forward, backward, and laterally in ways that a human shoulder cannot. Combined with the flexible spine and the compressible rib cage, this means that a cat can fit through any opening that its skull can pass through. The skull is the widest rigid structure in the body. If the head fits, the rest will follow. This is why a cat can thread itself through a gap in a fence that looks half its width. It is why a cat can squeeze behind a washing machine, flatten itself under a bed frame with barely 2 inches of clearance, or vanish into the back of a cupboard through a space you would swear was sealed. The cat is not breaking any rules of physics. It is using a skeleton that was designed for exactly this purpose, a skeleton in which the rigid parts are kept to a minimum and the flexible parts are maximized. Watch a cat walk and you can see the floating collarbone at work. The front legs move with a fluidity that the back legs do not quite share, because the front legs are connected to the body by muscle and tendon rather than by bone. The stride is longer, smoother, and more shock-absorbing than it would be with a locked shoulder. This is also why cats land so well. When they jump down from a height, the energy of impact is absorbed by the muscular suspension of the shoulders, rather than being transmitted directly through a rigid skeletal frame. The cat's front end is, in engineering terms, a suspension system. The tail adds another dimension of flexibility. It contains between 19 and 23 vertebrae, depending on the breed, each one articulated and controlled by small muscles that allow the tail to curve, wave, twitch, and wrap with a precision that most people take for granted. The tail is not just decorative. It serves as a counterbalance during movement, shifting its position to adjust the cat's center of gravity during jumps, turns, and the precise, careful navigation of narrow surfaces. A cat walking along the top of a fence is using its tail the way a tightrope walker uses a balancing pole, making constant micro-adjustments to keep the body centered over the line of travel. All of these features together, the elastic spine, the floating collarbone, the compressible rib cage, the shock-absorbing shoulder suspension, the counterbalancing tail, produce an animal that moves with a smoothness that no rigid-framed mammal can match. When a cat stretches, it elongates. When it curls, it compacts. When it pours itself into a box, it distributes its mass evenly and fills the available space. It does not look like other animals because structurally, it is not built like other animals. It is built for a world of gaps and ledges and tight spaces and sudden falls, and it has been refining that design for millions of years. The next time you see a cat sitting in a container that seems far too small for it, looking entirely comfortable and faintly smug, you are looking at an engineering solution that the human body cannot replicate. The cat is not squeezing itself in. It is unfolding a capability that is always there, built into every bone and every joint, waiting for the right shaped space to demonstrate what a skeleton designed for compression can do. There is a world above your hearing. It exists all around you, right now, in the room where you are lying. It is full of sound. High-pitched, rapid, detailed sound that carries information about movement and distance and the texture of surfaces. You cannot hear any of it. You have never heard any of it. You do not have the biological equipment to detect it, but your cat can hear it. Your cat has been listening to it since the moment it was born, and it is listening to it right now, even if it looks like it is asleep. The human ear can detect sounds between approximately 20 hertz and 20,000 hertz. That is a respectable range. It allows us to hear everything from the low rumble of distant thunder to the high, sharp ping of a wine glass being tapped with a fingernail. Most of our hearing is concentrated in the range that matters most for understanding speech, roughly 200 to 8,000 hertz, and as we age, the upper limit drops. By middle age, many people cannot hear sounds above 15,000 hertz. By old age, the ceiling can fall to 10 or 12,000. A cat can hear sounds up to approximately 85,000 hertz. That is more than 4 times the upper limit of human hearing, and it is not a vague, blurry detection at those heights. Cats can hear high-frequency sounds with precision and clarity, locating them in 3-dimensional space with an accuracy that is difficult to overstate. They can identify the direction of a sound source to within 5 degrees, which means they can pinpoint a noise to within a few inches from several meters away. They can do this in the dark. They can do this while asleep. The reason for this extraordinary range is deeply practical. The small prey that cats evolved to hunt, mice, voles, shrews, and other small rodents, communicate in ultrasonic frequencies. A mouse's squeak, the one you think of when you imagine a cartoon mouse, is actually in the lower end of their vocal range. Their most important calls, the alarm calls, the mating calls, the distress signals, are pitched far above anything a human can hear. A cat that could detect these sounds had a massive survival advantage. It could hear its prey communicating, moving and breathing in total darkness, and it could locate that prey with the precision of a guided system. Each of a cat's ears is controlled by 32 individual muscles. A human ear has 6. Those 32 muscles allow each ear to rotate independently through a range of approximately 180 degrees, swiveling like a radar dish to track sounds from multiple directions simultaneously. You can watch this happening in real time. A cat lying on a sofa may have one ear pointed toward the television and the other aimed at a window, monitoring 2 completely separate sound sources without moving its head. When something catches its attention, the ears snap toward the sound in a fraction of a second, triangulating the position with both ears working together. This is why your cat sometimes freezes mid-step and stares at a wall, or lifts its head from a dead sleep and focuses on a point in space that, to you, contains absolutely nothing. The cat is not seeing ghosts. It is not acting strangely. It is hearing something that exists in a frequency range you do not have access to. A mouse moving behind the skirting board, an insect vibrating its wings 2 rooms away, a high-pitched electronic whine from a device on standby. Your house is full of sounds you will never know about, and your cat is tracking every one of them, building and updating an acoustic map of its environment that runs continuously, awake or asleep, every second of every day. There is one more detail about cat hearing that is worth knowing, and it changes how you might think about the sounds you make around them. Because cats are so sensitive to high frequencies, and because they process sound with such speed and intensity, loud noises are not merely unpleasant for them. They can be physically painful. A door slamming, a pot dropped on a tile floor, a vacuum cleaner roaring through a room, these sounds hit a cat's auditory system with a force that is qualitatively different from what a human experiences. The cat is not being dramatic when it bolts from the room. It is. Protecting an instrument of extraordinary sensitivity from damage, your cat lives in a richer, louder, more detailed acoustic world than you will ever know. It hears the house breathing. It hears the walls settling. It hears your heartbeat change when you fall asleep. And it hears all of this while looking to you like it is doing absolutely nothing. A cat's eyes are not simply good in the dark. They are engineered for the dark, designed from the retina outward for a world that exists in the grey zone between daylight and midnight. and they achieve this through a collection of adaptations that, taken together, make the cat's visual system one of the most impressive in the mammalian world. It begins with the pupil. A cat's pupil is not round. It is a vertical slit, and this shape is not cosmetic. A slit pupil can change size far more dramatically than a round one. In bright light, it contracts to a hair-thin line, reducing the amount of light entering the eye to almost nothing. In dim light, it dilates into a wide, nearly circular opening that floods the retina with whatever photons are available. The range of adjustment is enormous. A cat's pupil can change its area by a factor of approximately 135 to 1. A human pupil manages about 15 to 1. This means a cat can function comfortably in conditions ranging from bright sunshine to near total darkness, without being blinded or left fumbling. Behind the pupil, the retina tells the real story. A cat's retina is dominated by rod cells, the photoreceptors responsible for detecting light and motion. Rods are extraordinarily sensitive. They can respond to individual photons, the smallest possible unit of light. Cats have roughly 6 to 8 times more rod cells than humans in proportion to their retina size. This gives them a massive advantage in low light conditions where every photon counts. The trade-off is color. Color vision depends on cone cells, and cats have far fewer of them than humans. Where we see a rich spectrum of reds, greens, blues, and all the shades between, cats see a more muted palette. They can detect blues and greens with reasonable accuracy, but reds and oranges fade toward grey. The world to a cat is not black and white, but it is significantly less colourful than the world you see. This is not a deficiency, it is a design choice. Evolution prioritized light sensitivity and motion detection over colour accuracy, because for a twilight hunter, seeing movement in the dark is infinitely more valuable than distinguishing between red and orange. But the most remarkable feature of a cat's eye is behind the retina entirely. It is a layer of tissue called the tapetum lucidum, and it is the reason your cat's eyes glow in the dark. The tapetum lucidum is a reflective surface, almost like a biological mirror, positioned directly behind the retina. When light enters the eye, it passes through the retina and strikes the rod and cone cells, just as it does in a human eye. But any light that is not absorbed on the first pass does not simply disappear into the back of the eye. Instead, it hits the tapetum and bounces back, reflecting through the retina a second time, giving the photoreceptors another chance to catch it. The cat gets 2 opportunities to detect every photon that enters the eye. This is why cats can see in light conditions that would leave a human effectively blind. In a room lit only by the faint glow of a street light through a curtain, a cat can see clearly enough to navigate, hunt, and play. The tapetum is recycling the available light, amplifying it, squeezing every possible signal from the darkness. It is also why a cat's eyes produce that distinctive, slightly unsettling glow when light hits them at night. The light that enters the eye and is reflected back by the tapetum exits through the pupil, and you see it as a bright disk of green or gold or blue, depending on the mineral composition of the reflective layer. There is, however, one thing that cats cannot do well with their eyes, and it is something that surprises many people. Cats cannot focus clearly on objects that are very close to their face. Anything within about 12 inches becomes blurry. This is why a cat presented with a treat, held directly under its nose, will often sniff it rather than look at it. At that distance, the cat's eyes cannot resolve the detail. The whiskers and the nose take over, providing the close-range information that the eyes cannot. This also means that your cat cannot see your face clearly when it is sitting on your chest, staring into your eyes from 6 inches away. It sees a warm, familiar blur, a shape it recognizes, a presence it knows. But the fine details, your expression, the lines around your eyes, the specific way you are smiling at it, these are lost. The cat does not need them. It knows you by sound, by scent, by the rhythm of your breathing, and by the years of shared experience that have taught it what you mean without needing to see you clearly. Your cat sees you the way you might see a loved one through a steamed window. The outline is there, the presence is unmistakable, the details are soft, and somehow that makes it more beautiful rather than less. Your house is covered in messages you cannot read. Every surface your cat has touched, every corner it has rubbed against, every doorframe it has pressed its face to, carries an invisible inscription that is as legible to a cat as a printed notice would be to you. You walk through these messages constantly, oblivious. Your cat reads them every day. Cats possess approximately 200 million olfactory receptors in their nasal cavity. Humans have roughly 5 million. This alone would make a cat's sense of smell about 40 times more sensitive than yours, but the raw number of receptors does not capture the full picture. Cats also have a secondary scent system that humans do not possess at all, and it allows them to process a category of chemical information that is entirely invisible to us. The vomeronasal organ, also called Jacobson's organ, sits in the roof of the cat's mouth, just behind the upper front teeth. It is a small, fluid-filled pouch lined with sensory neurons that are specialized for detecting pheromones, chemical signals that carry social and reproductive information between animals. Pheromones are not odors in the conventional sense. They do not smell like anything a human would recognize. They are molecular messages, carried in the air or deposited on surfaces that communicate identity, mood, reproductive status, territorial boundaries, and emotional state. When a cat encounters a particularly rich or interesting scent, you may see it perform what looks like a strangely frozen grimace. The mouth opens slightly, the upper lip curls back, the head tilts slightly upward, and the cat pauses for several seconds with an expression that looks, to human eyes, faintly ridiculous. This is the Flamen response, and the cat is not grimacing. It is directing air over the vomeronasal organ, pulling chemical information into the specialized detection chamber and reading the molecular message with a focus and precision that is the olfactory equivalent of putting on reading glasses. You see the Flamen response most often when a cat encounters the scent of another cat, particularly on furniture, clothing, or a spot where a visitor's animal has been. But it can also be triggered by certain foods, plants, and unfamiliar objects. The cat is not just smelling, it is analyzing. It is extracting data about who was here, when they were here, how they were feeling, and whether they represent a threat or an opportunity. The scent glands that produce these messages are concentrated in several locations on a cat's body. There are glands on the cheeks, around the mouth, under the chin, on the forehead, at the base of the tail, and between the toes. When a cat rubs its face against the corner of a table, it is depositing pheromones from the cheek glands. When it scratches a surface, it is leaving scent from the paw glands. When it presses the top of its head against your hand, it is marking you with forehead pheromones. Every one of these actions is a dual-purpose behavior, a physical action that also writes a chemical message on whatever it touches. When a cat rubs against your legs as you come through the door, it is not simply greeting you, it is re-scenting you. It is writing its signature back onto a surface that has been out in the world all day, accumulating the sense of other environments, other people, other animals. The cat is restoring you to the scent profile of its territory, saying in chemical language that you belong here, that you are part of the safe world, that whatever you have been doing out there, you are back now, and the olfactory record needs to be updated accordingly. In multi-cat households, this scent communication becomes a complex social negotiation. Cats that get along well will rub against each other, mingling their scents into a shared group signature that makes the living space feel communal and safe. Cats that do not get along may overmark each other's scent deposits, covering one chemical message with another in a slow, silent territorial dispute that happens entirely below the threshold of human perception. You might notice the tension between two cats in a household, the avoidance, the staring, the occasional hiss. But the real argument is happening in a chemical language written on the walls, the furniture, and the air itself. A conversation you can neither see nor hear nor participate in. Your cat lives in a world of invisible meaning. Every object in your home carries a story that the cat can read. The coat you left on a chair tells the cat where you have been. The bag you brought home from the shops carries the scent of every person who touched it. A visitor who sat on your sofa left behind a chemical narrative that your cat will investigate with the seriousness of a detective reviewing evidence. You perceive your home as a visual space defined by light and colour and shape. Your cat perceives it as a chemical library defined by scent and time and the invisible signatures of everyone who has passed through it. And somewhere in that library, on the corner of a sofa or the edge of a door or the surface of your own skin, is a message that your cat wrote for you. You will never be able to read it, but it says that you are known, that you are safe, that you are home. A cat is looking at you from across the room. It is sitting very still, its body relaxed, its tail curled neatly around its paws. And then, slowly, deliberately, it closes its eyes. Not the quick blink of a reflex, a long, slow narrowing of the lids, a moment of soft darkness, and then they open again. The cat holds your gaze. It does it again. You have just been paid a compliment. One of the most sincere compliments an animal can give. The slow blink is a trust signal. It has been observed in domestic cats for as long as people have been watching them closely. And for most of that time, it was interpreted anecdotally, something cat owners knew, but science had not confirmed. That changed in 2020, when researchers at the universities of Sussex and Portsmouth published a study that tested the phenomenon under controlled conditions. They found that when a human slow blinked at a cat, the cat was significantly more likely to slow blink back than when the human maintained a neutral expression. They also found that cats were more likely to approach an unfamiliar person who was slow blinking at them than one who was not. The significance of this is easy to understate. In the world of animal behavior, closing your eyes in the presence of another creature is an act of vulnerability. Eyes are a predator's most important tool and a prey animal's most important defense. To deliberately close them, even briefly, is to say that you do not consider the other animal a threat. You are safe enough in their presence to let your guard down. For a cat, a species that is simultaneously predator and prey, one that must be vigilant against hawks, coyotes, dogs, and other cats while also hunting its own food. The decision to close its eyes in front of you is not casual. It is a statement. This is one element of a much broader communication system that cats use constantly, and that most people read only partially, if at all. Cats are not verbal communicators in the way that dogs are. They do not bark, whine, yip, or howl to express their emotional state. Instead, they speak with geometry. The position of the tail, the angle of the ears, the orientation of the body, the dilation of the pupils, the height of the fur along the spine. Each of these carries specific information, and a fluent reader of cat body language can understand exactly what the animal is thinking. The tail is the most expressive instrument. A tail held straight up with the tip slightly curved forward is a greeting. It is the equivalent of a smile across a room. Cats that approach each other with tails up are signaling friendly intent, and this posture is observed almost exclusively in cats that have a positive relationship. Cats approaching a stranger or an adversary almost never raise their tails. A tail that is puffed up, with the fur standing on end, signals fear or aggression, the cat making itself appear larger. A tail that is low and tucked indicates anxiety or submission. A tail that is swishing rapidly from side to side is not wagging in the way a dog's tail wags. It is a sign of agitation, frustration, or focused, predatory attention. A cat whose tail is lashing while it watches a bird through a window is not happy. It is experiencing a conflict between the drive to hunt and the inability to reach the prey, and the tail is expressing that tension. The ears are equally precise. Forward-facing ears indicate interest, curiosity, or relaxed attention. Ears that rotate to the side, sometimes called aeroplane ears, because of the way they flatten outward, signal growing unease or irritation. Ears that are flattened fully backward against the skull indicate fear or defensive aggression. The cat is protecting its ears from damage in an anticipated fight, and it is also communicating to anyone who can read the signal that it is feeling threatened and may respond with force. The combination of these signals creates a language of remarkable subtlety. A cat with forward ears, a raised tail, and relaxed body posture is confident and friendly. A cat with dilated pupils, flattened ears, and a low, puffed tail is terrified. A cat with narrowed pupils, forward ears, and a rapidly swishing tail is in hunting mode, focused and intense. Every combination tells a different story, and cats read these stories in each other with an accuracy and speed that suggests a communication system as complex in its own way as any verbal language. And here is the part that matters most for the person lying in the dark, listening to this. When your cat slow blinks at you, it is using the same communication system it uses with other cats. It is not performing for you. It is not mimicking something it saw on television. It is including you in its social world, using signals that carry genuine meaning in its species, and directing them at you because, in the architecture of its social brain, you are not a human who owns a cat. You are a very large, very strange cat who happens to share its territory, and it trusts you enough to close its eyes. Your cat knows its name. It has known its name for a long time, and it has made a conscious decision about whether or not to respond when you say it. This was demonstrated in a study published in 2019 by researchers at Sophia University in Tokyo. The experiment was straightforward. Cats were played recordings of 4 words spoken by their owner, words that had the same length and rhythm as the cat's name, but were otherwise meaningless. The cats habituated quickly, showing less and less response to each successive word, their ears moving less, their heads turning less, their tails remaining still. And then, the 5th word was played, their actual name. The cats responded, ears rotated, heads lifted, tails twitched. The physiological response was clear and measurable. They recognized the word, they knew it referred to them, but they did not come. Most of the cats in the study showed recognition without action. They heard their name, they processed it, and they chose not to do anything about it. This is the behavior that has led to the enduring perception that cats are aloof, indifferent, or untrainable. But the study reveals something quite different. The cats are not failing to understand. They are understanding perfectly, and then making a choice. The dog comes when called, because obedience is deeply woven into the social contract between dogs and humans, a contract shaped by tens of thousands of years of selective breeding for compliance. The cat hears, considers, and decides. This is not a deficiency of intelligence. It is a different kind of intelligence, one that prioritizes autonomy over obedience. This selective responsiveness extends well beyond name recognition. Cats demonstrate object permanence, the understanding that an object continues to exist even when it is no longer visible. If you hide a toy under a blanket while a cat is watching, the cat knows the toy is still there and will search for it. This is a cognitive milestone that human children do not reliably achieve until roughly 8 months of age. Cats pass this test consistently. They also demonstrate what researchers call episodic memory, the ability to remember specific events from the past rather than simply responding to learned associations. A study published in 2017 tested cats on a task that required them to remember which bowls they had already eaten from and which they had not. The cats performed well, demonstrating that they could recall not just what had happened, but where and when. The 3 components of episodic memory that were once considered unique to humans and a small number of great apes. And there is one more finding that is worth knowing, because it directly contradicts the most persistent myth about cats. In 2021, researchers at Oregon State University published a study on the social bonding patterns of domestic cats. They used a modified version of the Ainsworth-Strange situation test, a protocol originally designed to measure attachment in human infants. The cat was placed in a room with its owner. The owner left. The owner returned. The researchers observed the cat's behavior during the reunion. The results were unambiguous. The majority of cats displayed what psychologists call secure attachment behavior. When the owner returned, the cat approached, greeted, and then settled down, using the owner's presence as a base of security from which to explore the room. This is the same pattern observed in securely attached human infants. It is a pattern that indicates trust, comfort, and an emotional bond that provides a sense of safety. Cats that displayed insecure attachment, those that either avoided the returning owner or showed excessive clinginess, were in the minority. The proportion of securely attached cats was roughly 65%, which is, remarkably, very close to the proportion of securely attached human infants found in similar studies. Your cat is not indifferent to you. It is attached to you. It remembers your kindness. It recognizes your voice, your footstep, and your name for it. It chooses when to respond, and its choosing is not a failure of understanding, but an expression of a mind that evaluates each interaction on its merits and makes its own decisions. The cat is not ignoring you. It is being a cat. And being a cat means being an animal that has never, in 10,000 years of living alongside humans, agreed to do something simply because it was told to. A cat's whiskers are not hair. They are instruments. Precision instruments rooted 3 times deeper in the skin than ordinary fur. Each one seated in a follicle so richly supplied with nerve endings and blood vessels that the slightest deflection sends a torrent of sensory information directly to the brain. The scientific name for these structures is vibraceae, from the Latin vibra to vibrate, and they do vibrate. They are stiff, thick, and tapered, engineered to resonate at specific frequencies when they encounter airflow or make contact with a surface. The vibration patterns carry information. The speed and amplitude of the vibration tell the cat about the texture, distance, and movement of whatever has disturbed the whisker. Each whisker is, in effect, a single-point sensor of extraordinary sensitivity, and the cat has between 16 and 24 of them on its muzzle alone. arranged in 4 precise horizontal rows on each side of the nose. But whiskers are not only on the muzzle. Cats also have whiskers above their eyes, functioning like protective antennae that trigger a blink reflex if something approaches too close. They have whiskers on the backs of their front legs, just above the paws, called carpal whiskers, which provide information about prey that the cat is holding in its grasp. When a cat has caught a mouse and is holding it between its front paws, the carpal whiskers are in contact with the prey, feeding back data about whether it is still moving, how it is oriented, and where to deliver the killing bite. The cat does not need to look down. The whiskers on its legs are doing the looking for it. The muzzle whiskers serve a different and equally vital purpose. They are navigation instruments. In dim light or total darkness, the whiskers extend outward from the face to roughly the width of the cat's body. As the cat moves through a space, the whiskers detect changes in air pressure and airflow that indicate the presence of obstacles. The cat does not need to touch a wall to know the wall is there. The compression of air between the moving cat and the stationary surface creates a detectable pressure change on the whiskers. The cat feels the wall before it reaches it, the way you might feel the warmth from a radiator before you touch it. This is how cats navigate in total darkness. It is how they thread themselves through narrow gaps without touching the sides. It is how they judge whether a space is wide enough to pass through, not by looking, since their near vision is poor, but by extending the whiskers to their full span and measuring the gap against the width of their own body. If the whiskers fit, the cat fits. If the whiskers brush the edges, the space is too narrow. The sensitivity of this system is difficult to overstate. Research has shown that cats can detect changes in air movement as small as 0.002 of a millimeter. That is roughly the width of a red blood cell. The whiskers are detecting disturbances in the air that are, for all practical purposes, invisible, and converting them into a 3-dimensional map of the immediate environment that the cat updates continuously as it moves. There is a condition that cat owners and veterinarians have increasingly recognized, called whisker fatigue, or more accurately, whisker stress. It occurs when the whiskers are overstimulated by constant contact with surfaces, most commonly the sides of a food bowl. A narrow, deep bowl forces the cat's whiskers to press against the sides with every bite, sending a continuous stream of sensory input to the brain that, over time, becomes uncomfortable or even distressing. The cat may begin to eat less, pour food out of the bowl onto the floor, or approach the bowl and then walk away. It is not being fussy. It is experiencing sensory overload in an organ system that was designed for detecting the passage of a mouse, not the ceramic wall of a dish. This is why many cats prefer to eat from flat plates or wide, shallow bowls. It is not a preference born of pickiness. It is a preference born of having an extraordinarily sensitive detection system on your face that you cannot turn off and that responds to every contact, whether you want it to or not. The whiskers are always on. They are always gathering data. They are building in real time a model of the world immediately around the cat's head. A bubble of tactile awareness that extends several inches in every direction and that updates with every movement, every breath of air, every vibration. When your cat walks through a dark room at 3 a.m. without bumping into a single piece of furniture, it is not because it has memorized the layout. It is because it is reading the room through its whiskers, feeling its way through space with an organ system that is more sensitive than your fingertips and more precise than your eyes. The whiskers are the reason your cat moves through darkness with the confidence of an animal that has never once been afraid of the dark. For a cat, the dark is not empty. The dark is full of information. The whiskers are reading it, and the cat knows exactly where it is going. No one decided to domesticate the cat. That is the first thing to understand. With almost every other domestic animal, there was a moment, or at least a process, in which humans identified a wild creature, recognized its utility, and began the long work of selectively breeding it for tameness, obedience, and usefulness. Wolves were selected for loyalty and compliance and became dogs. Wild aurochs were captured and bred for docility and became cattle. Horses were broken, sheep were herded, chickens were penned. In each case, humans were the active party. They chose the animal. They shaped it. They bent its nature toward human purposes over hundreds or thousands of generations. The cat walked in on its own. Roughly 10,000 years ago in the Fertile Crescent, the arc of land that sweeps from modern-day Iraq through Syria, Turkey, and down into Egypt and the Levant, humans were doing something they had never done before. They were farming. The first agricultural settlements were producing grain, wheat, and barley in quantities large enough to store. And where there is stored grain, there are mice. Grain stores attracted rodents in enormous numbers, and the rodents attracted the small wild predators that hunted them. The African wildcat, Felis libica, is a small, solitary, largely nocturnal hunter native to the region. It looks to modern eyes remarkably like a domestic tabby cat, sandy brown with faint stripes, lean and long-legged, with the same basic body plan that you see in house cats today. When grain stores began to attract mice, the wildcats that were slightly less fearful of humans, the ones willing to, venture a little closer to the settlement, a little nearer to the granary, found themselves in a paradise. Abundant prey, shelter. No need to compete with other predators in the open landscape. The cats that stayed near humans ate better and survived longer, and they produced offspring that were, on average, slightly more tolerant of human presence than the generation before. This was not domestication in the traditional sense. Humans did not capture wildcats and breed them. There was no deliberate selection for tameness or obedience. What happened was a process that biologists call self-domestication, a feedback loop in which the animal that tolerates humans gains a survival advantage. And over many generations, the population shifts naturally toward greater tolerance. The cats chose proximity to humans because it benefited them. Humans tolerated the cats because the cats were killing the mice that were eating the grain. It was a transaction, a deal, and it is a deal that, in many ways, has never been renegotiated. The genetic evidence for this is compelling. A landmark study published in 2017 analysed the DNA of more than 200 cat remains spanning approximately 9,000 years, from Neolithic farming sites to Egyptian mummies to modern domestic cats. The results showed that all domestic cats on Earth descend from a single subspecies, Felis libica, and that the genetic divergence between wild cats and domestic cats is astonishingly small. Compared to the vast genetic gulf between wolves and dogs, the difference between a wild cat and a house cat is almost negligible. The cat has barely changed. It was never reshaped the way a wolf was reshaped into a poodle or a Great Dane or a Chihuahua. It was left more or less as it was. This is why your cat still hunts, why it still stalks and pounces and brings you gifts you did not ask for, why it can survive on its own if it has to, reverting to a feral state within a generation in a way that a Labrador retriever cannot. The cat has not been bred for dependence. It has not been selected for the desire to please. It has retained, across 10,000 years of cohabitation, the essential independence and self-sufficiency of its wild ancestor. It lives with you because the arrangement suits it. If it stopped suiting it, the cat could leave. And both of you, on some level, know this. The earliest physical evidence of a deliberate relationship between humans and cats comes from the island of Cyprus. In 2004, archaeologists excavating a Neolithic burial site at the village of Shilourokambos discovered a grave dating to approximately 9,500 years ago. In the grave was a human, buried with offerings and ornaments consistent with a person of status. And 30 centimeters away, in a separate but carefully aligned pit, was a cat. Not a wild cat that had wandered into the site and died. A cat that had been deliberately buried alongside a human in a manner that suggests value, companionship, and possibly something approaching reverence. Cyprus has no native cats. The island sits roughly 70 kilometers off the coast of Turkey, and no wild feline ever crossed that stretch of water on its own. The cat must have been brought to the island deliberately, transported by boat by Neolithic settlers who valued it enough to carry it across the sea. This is 9,500 years ago, more than 5,000 years before the height of Egyptian cat worship. People were already bringing cats with them when they moved. They were already burying them with their dead. This changes the timeline of the human-cat relationship considerably. The bond is not 3,000 or 4,000 years old, as was once assumed. It stretches back nearly to the dawn of agriculture itself. For almost as long as humans have been farming, cats have been there, sitting in the granaries, watching the mice, and accepting the arrangement on their own terms. But it was Egypt that turned the arrangement into something closer to worship. By approximately 4,000 years ago, cats had become central to Egyptian culture in a way that has no parallel in any other civilization before or since. They were not simply useful. They were not simply liked. They were sacred. They were protected by law, honored in art, mourned in death, and incorporated into the religious architecture of the state itself. The goddess Bastet, originally depicted as a fierce lioness associated with war and protection, gradually transformed over the centuries into a gentler deity represented as a domestic cat, or a woman with the head of a cat. She became the goddess of home, fertility, and the protection of women and children. Her temple at the city of Bubastis was one of the most important religious sites in Egypt, and the annual festival held in her honor was, according to the Greek historian Herodotus, the largest religious gathering in the country. Herodotus claimed that 700,000 people attended. Whether or not the number is accurate, the scale is not in doubt. People traveled from across Egypt by boat, and the festival involved music, dancing, feasting, and the consumption of more wine than at any other time of the year. Cats were everywhere in Egyptian life. They appear in tomb paintings sitting under chairs, hunting alongside their owners in the marshes, nursing kittens, and being fed fish by hand. They were given names. They wore jewelry. When a family cat died, the household went into mourning. Herodotus again provides the detail. The members of the household shaved their eyebrows as a sign of grief, and the cat's body was taken to a sacred site for mummification and burial. And mummified they were, in enormous numbers. Archaeologists have discovered cat cemeteries containing hundreds of thousands of mummified cats, carefully wrapped in linen, some with painted faces, some placed in decorated wooden or bronze coffins shaped like sitting cats. The scale suggests not just individual pet burials, but an industrial operation. Temples bred cats specifically for the purpose of mummification, raising them as offerings to Bastet. Pilgrims visiting a temple could purchase a mummified cat to present as a votive offering, the way a visitor to a modern shrine might light a candle. The sheer number of cat mummies is staggering. In the late 19th century, a single site at Beni Hassan yielded an estimated 300,000 cat mummies. Many were sold as curiosities to Victorian collectors. Others were ground up and shipped to England as fertilizer. An entire consignment of approximately 19 tons of cat mummies was auctioned in Liverpool in 1890 and sold for agricultural use. The bones of sacred animals revered for millennia were spread on English fields. The legal protections surrounding cats in ancient Egypt were severe. Killing a cat, even accidentally, could be punished by death. The 1st century historian Diodorus Siculus recorded an incident in which a Roman soldier accidentally killed a cat and was lynched by an Egyptian mob, despite the efforts of Egyptian authorities and Roman diplomats to intervene. The cat was more important than the peace between two empires. And then there is the Battle of Pelusium, fought in 525 BC between the invading Persian army of Cambyses II and the defending Egyptian forces. According to multiple ancient sources, the Persians exploited the Egyptian reverence for cats as a weapon. The historian Polyaenus records that Cambyses ordered his soldiers to carry cats and other animals, sacred to the Egyptians as they advanced. Other accounts suggest that the Persians painted images of Bastet on their shields or released live cats onto the battlefield. The Egyptian soldiers, unwilling to risk harming the sacred animals, could not fight effectively. The Persians won. Egypt fell. And it fell, at least in part, because of a cat. Whether every detail of this story is historically accurate is debated. What is not debated is that the Egyptians' attachment to cats was so well known in the ancient world that their enemies could credibly plan a military strategy around it. The cat was not a pet in Egypt. It was a pillar of culture, a symbol of divine protection, and ultimately of vulnerability. The cat left Egypt the same way it had arrived at human settlements 10,000 years before. It followed the opportunities. And the greatest opportunity for a small, adaptable predator with a tolerance for human company was the ship. Cats were aboard Phoenician trading vessels by at least 1000 BC, carried as working animals to control the rats and mice that infested any ship carrying grain or other foodstuffs. From the ports of the eastern Mediterranean, cats spread to Greece, to Rome, to the coasts of North Africa, and eventually to every port that maritime trade could reach. Each ship that carried cargo carried rats, and each ship that carried rats was improved by carrying a cat. The Romans, practical as always, adopted the cat as a utilitarian pest controller and spread it across their empire. Roman soldiers carried cats to Britain, to Gaul, to Germania, to every outpost of the civilization. Cats were not objects of worship in Rome as they had been in Egypt. They were colleagues, kept for what they could do rather than what they represented. But they were kept, and wherever the legions went, the cats went with them. By the medieval period, cats were established across Europe and their role began to shift. The association between cats and witchcraft, which would cause enormous suffering to both cats and humans during the witch trials of the 15th through 18th centuries, grew partly from the cat's nocturnal habits, its independence, and its perceived mysteriousness. Cats that belonged to elderly women living alone were sometimes cited as evidence of witchcraft. Cats were killed in large numbers during certain periods, and some historians have speculated, though the evidence is contested, that the resulting decline in cat populations contributed to the proliferation of rats and the spread of the Black Death across Europe. The irony, if true, would be extraordinary. Humans killed the animal that was protecting them from the very disease that would kill a third of the continent. The age of exploration carried cats to the New World, to Australia, to the Pacific Islands, to every corner of the globe that a ship could reach. Ship cats were working members of the crew, valued for their rat-catching abilities, and often considered good luck. The Royal Navy kept cats aboard its vessels well into the 20th century, and individual ship cats became famous in their own right. Trim, a black and white cat born aboard a Royal Navy vessel in 1799, sailed with Captain Matthew Flinders on the first circumnavigation of Australia. Flinders wrote about Trim with undisguised affection, describing him as the finest cat who ever lived, noting his courage during storms, his skill at catching rats, and his habit of sitting on the chart table during navigation. Trim survived shipwrecks, encounters with hostile forces, and the entirety of the Australian circumnavigation before disappearing in Mauritius under circumstances that Flinders suspected involved the local population's appetite for fresh meat. Flinders was devastated. He wrote a biographical tribute to Trim that is one of the most charming pieces of writing in maritime literature. A bronze statue of Trim now sits on a window ledge of the Mitchell Library in Sydney, looking out over the city that his voyage helped to map. The Hermitage Museum in St. Petersburg, one of the largest and most prestigious art museums in the world, has maintained a colony of cats since the 18th century. Catherine the Great is credited with formally establishing the role of the museum cats, tasking them with protecting the artworks from rats. The cats live in the basements and ground floors of the museum complex, are fed and cared for by a dedicated staff, and have their own press secretary. There are currently approximately 50 to 70 cats in residence, and they are considered official employees. Each cat has a name and a personnel file. During the siege of Leningrad in the Second World War, the cat population of the city was virtually wiped out. Residents, starving through a 900-day blockade, ate them. When the siege ended, the city's rat population had exploded in the absence of cats, threatening the remaining food supplies and the priceless artworks in the Hermitage. The Soviet government arranged for trainloads of cats to be sent to Leningrad from other parts of the country. 5,000 cats were shipped from Siberia. They were distributed across the city, and the Hermitage received a new founding colony. The cats that patrol the museum today are the descendants of those post-war reinforcements, living links to one of the most devastating chapters in the city's history. In the trenches of the First World War, cats served alongside soldiers on both sides. They hunted the rats that infested the trench systems, providing a measure of pest control in conditions that were otherwise overwhelming. But they also served a purpose that no military manual would have anticipated. In the relentless horror of trench warfare, surrounded by mud and death and the constant threat of shelling, soldiers found comfort in the presence of a small, warm, living creature that did not understand the war and did not care about it. Letters home frequently mention cats by name. Photographs show soldiers holding cats in the trenches, feeding them from their rations, building small shelters for them out of ammunition boxes. The cats were not strategic assets. They were companions. And in a landscape stripped of every comfort and every gentleness that mattered more than anyone might have predicted, the cat has crossed every ocean, survived every empire, and outlasted every civilization that has hosted it. It has been worshipped, demonized, weaponized, eaten, celebrated, and ignored, and through all of it, it has remained essentially unchanged. The same animal that sat in the granaries of the Fertile Crescent 10,000 years ago is sitting on your bed tonight, watching you with the same eyes, listening with the same ears, keeping its own counsel, as it always has. In 2013, researchers at the University of Georgia and the National Geographic Society fitted 60 domestic cats with lightweight GPS trackers and small cameras mounted on their collars. The cats were all pets, living in ordinary homes in suburban neighborhoods, allowed outdoors during the day or night, and their owners had no particular reason to believe their cats were doing anything unusual when they left the house. The results were extraordinary. Some cats barely left the garden, They walked along the fence, sat in the sun, investigated the hedge, and came back inside. Their territories were measured in hundreds of square meters, small and contained and entirely consistent with what their owners would have guessed. But others lived secret lives of staggering range. One cat was recorded traveling more than 2 kilometers from home in a single night. Another crossed a major road, navigated through an industrial estate, and entered a storm drain system that its owner did not know existed. Several cats were documented visiting the homes of other people entirely, entering through cat flaps or open windows, eating food that had been left out for a different cat, and then returning home before morning. Their owners had no idea. The GPS data revealed that outdoor cats maintain territories that are, on average, far larger than most people assume. Male cats that have not been neutered maintain the largest ranges, sometimes covering several square kilometers. Neutered males and females cover less ground, but still travel distances that would surprise most owners. A cat that you think of as a homebody, a creature of the sofa and the sunny windowsill, may be patrolling a territory that encompasses dozens of gardens, several streets, and a complex network of routes that it has learned, memorized, and optimized over months or years. These routes are not random. Cats follow established paths, returning to the same trails, the same crossing points, the same resting spots night after night. They adjust their timing to avoid conflict with other cats whose territories overlap with theirs. This is one of the most fascinating aspects of outdoor cat life. Territories do not have hard borders. They overlap extensively, and cats manage the overlap through time sharing. Cat A uses the garden behind the chip shop between 10 at night and 1 in the morning. Cat B uses the same garden between 2 and 5. They rarely encounter each other because they have, through a combination of scent marking and learned experience, negotiated a schedule. The territory is shared, but the time is not. The scent marks we discussed earlier are the primary mechanism for this negotiation. A cat patrolling its territory deposits pheromones at regular intervals, rubbing its cheeks on fence posts, scratching trees, and spraying urine at specific boundary points. These marks communicate not just identity, but recency. A fresh mark tells an approaching cat that the territory holder was here recently and may still be nearby. An older mark, hours or days old, suggests the path is clear. Cats read these chemical timestamps with precision and adjust their movements accordingly. It is a postal system of invisible letters, delivered and read at intervals throughout the night, managing the complex social geography of a neighborhood without any two cats needing to meet face to face. Feral cat colonies, groups of unowned cats that live in close association with each other, take this social complexity even further. Feral colonies are not random aggregations. They are structured communities typically built around a core group of related females, mothers, daughters, sisters, and aunts who share the responsibilities of raising kittens, defending the territory, and managing the social dynamics of the group. The matriarchal structure is striking. Related females will nurse each other's kittens, a behavior called alloparenting that is relatively rare in solitary carnivores. They will take turns watching over the nursery area while other mothers hunt. They will collectively defend the colony against intruding males or predators, acting in concert in a way that solitary animals typically do not. Males are more peripheral, tolerated when useful and expelled when problematic, and the social hierarchies among females are maintained through a combination of seniority, kinship, and individual personality. Within a colony, cats form clear friendships and clear aversions. Some pairs will groom each other, sleep in contact, and share food. Others will actively avoid each other, maintaining distances and using different paths through the territory. The social structure is not fixed. It shifts as cats are born, mature, leave, and die, and it responds to changes in resources, threats, and the arrival of new individuals. It is, in its way, a society governed by relationships managed through communication and sustained by cooperation. And all of this is happening in the car parks and alleyways and abandoned buildings of your neighborhood, invisible to most of the humans who walk through these spaces every day. The stray cat you see sitting on a wall is not a lonely outcast. It is a member of a community with allies and rivals and obligations, and a territory that it knows better than you know your own street. A kitten is born blind, deaf, and almost entirely helpless. Its eyes are sealed shut. Its ear canals are closed. It cannot regulate its own body temperature. It cannot eliminate waste without its mother's help. For the first days of its life, it exists in a world of warmth, touch, and scent, navigating toward the mother's body by heat and smell alone, rooting for a nipple with a persistence that is almost mechanical in its single-mindedness. The eyes open between 7 and 10 days after birth, though the vision that emerges is blurry, blue-grey, and poorly focused. True visual clarity will not arrive for several weeks. The ear canals open at roughly the same time, and the kitten begins to hear the world for the first time, a sudden flood of information from a sensory system that will eventually become one of the most acute in the animal kingdom. The transition from silence to sound, from darkness to light, happens within the span of a few days, and the kitten's brain must process both simultaneously while also learning to coordinate its increasingly mobile body. What happens in the weeks that follow is one of the most critical periods in the life of any domestic animal. Between approximately 2 and 7 weeks of age, kittens pass through a window of socialization that will shape their personality, their tolerance of humans, their comfort with handling, and their ability to form bonds for the rest of their lives. Kittens that are handled gently and frequently by humans during this window grow into adults that are comfortable with touch, confident around people, and capable of forming the kind of deep, trusting relationships that define the best human-cat partnerships. Kittens that miss this window, that have no positive human contact during these critical weeks, often grow into cats that are fearful, avoidant, or aggressive when approached. The window does not close absolutely, and older cats can be socialized with patience and skill, but the ease and depth of the process is never the same. This is why the first weeks of a kitten's life matter so enormously. A kitten born in a loving home, handled daily by gentle hands, exposed to the sounds and smells and rhythms of human life, is being shaped at a neurological level. The synaptic connections that form during this period are the foundations of the adult cat's social brain. Every positive interaction during the socialization window is quite literally building the architecture of trust. Kittens also learn essential social skills from each other during this period. Play fighting between littermates is not just entertainment, it is education. A kitten that bites too hard during play is met with a squeal and a retaliatory swat from its sibling, followed by a temporary withdrawal from the game. The kitten learns through repeated feedback how hard it can bite before it causes pain. This is called bite inhibition, and it is one of the most important social skills a cat can possess. Cats that learn bite inhibition as kittens grow into adults that can play with humans without breaking skin, that can mouth your hand without causing injury, that understand the boundary between play and harm. Kittens raised alone, without siblings, miss this education entirely. Single kitten litters, or kittens separated from their littermates too early, often grow into adults that bite harder during play, that have difficulty reading social cues from other cats, and that may struggle with the kind of calibrated, gentle physical interaction that well-socialized cats handle effortlessly. This is not a flaw in the cat. It is a gap in its education, an absence of the feedback that only another kitten can provide during those critical weeks. By the time a kitten is 8 weeks old, it has gone from a blind, deaf, immobile scrap of fur to a running, climbing, pouncing, exploring creature with functional vision, acute hearing, and a personality that is already beginning to assert itself. Some kittens are bold, some are cautious, some are social, some are solitary. These traits are influenced by genetics, but they are shaped profoundly by the experiences of those first weeks. The kitten you bring home at 8 or 12 weeks has already had a lifetime of learning, compressed into a period shorter than most human holidays. Your cat is asleep. Or rather, your cat appears to be asleep, which is not always the same thing. Cats sleep between 12 and 16 hours a day. This is a number that alarms some people and delights others, but it is neither laziness nor indulgence. It is the legacy of a predator whose hunting strategy depends on short, explosive bursts of energy. A cat does not chase its prey across open ground the way a wolf does. It stalks, waits, and pounces using speed and precision in bursts that last seconds. The rest of the time, it conserves energy. Sleep is the conservation mechanism, and cats have perfected it. But most of what looks like sleep is actually something lighter. Cats spend roughly 75% of their sleeping time in a state of light dozing, a shallow rest from which they can spring to full alertness in an instant. The ears continue to rotate during light sleep, tracking sounds. The muscles remain partially tensed. The brain is not cycling through the deep stages of restorative sleep, but is instead idling in a state of relaxed vigilance, ready to engage at a moment's notice. A cat that appears to be sleeping on a windowsill is, in many cases, simply monitoring the world through half-closed eyes and fully open ears, conserving energy while remaining prepared for anything that might require sudden attention. The remaining 25% of cat sleep is genuine deep sleep, including periods of rapid eye movement, the stage in which dreaming occurs. During REM sleep, a cat's body goes limp, its muscles fully relaxing in a way that does not happen during light dozing. And then you see it. The paws twitch, the whiskers flutter, the tail flicks, the lips pull back briefly, as if the cat is mouthing something. Small sounds may emerge, tiny chirps or murmurs that the cat would never make while awake. The cat is dreaming. What it dreams about is, of course, unknowable. But the neurological patterns observed in dreaming cats are remarkably similar to the patterns observed during waking activities like hunting and playing. The motor signals that would normally move the legs and jaws are present, suppressed by the same neural mechanism that prevents humans from acting out their dreams. But enough signal leaks through to move a paw, to twitch a whisker, to create the faint, endearing impression of a cat chasing something through a landscape that only it can see. Cats are crepuscular, meaning they are most active during the twilight hours around dawn and dusk. This is when their wild ancestors did most of their hunting, taking advantage of the low light that gave their superior night vision a decisive advantage over both prey and competitors. Domestic cats retain this rhythm. The burst of manic energy that many cat owners experience at 4 or 5 in the morning, the thundering paws across the hallway, the sudden appearance on the bed with an urgent meow, is not the cat being difficult. It is the cat being a cat, responding to an internal clock that was set millions of years ago by the demands of twilight hunting. The choice of sleeping location is not random either. Cats select their sleeping spots with a strategic precision that reflects their dual nature as both predator and prey. elevated positions are preferred because they offer a vantage point and reduce the risk of being approached unseen. Enclosed spaces are favored because they provide protection on multiple sides. Warm spots are sought because maintaining body temperature during sleep requires energy, and a warm surface reduces that cost. The cat that sleeps on top of the wardrobe is not being antisocial. It is choosing the highest, most defensible, most thermally efficient position available. The cat that sleeps in a cardboard box is not being quirky. It is selecting an enclosed, insulated space that satisfies the same defensive criteria in a different form. And the cat that sleeps on your bed, curled against your legs or settled on your chest, is making a choice that carries more meaning than most people realize. It is choosing to sleep in a position of vulnerability, in the open, without elevation or enclosure, next to a creature many times its size. It is doing this because it trusts you, because your presence, your warmth, your breathing, your heartbeat satisfies the safety criteria that no box or wardrobe top can fully provide. You are, for this animal, the safest place in the house. The cat is not choosing your bed because it is soft. It is choosing you because you are safe. And it is falling asleep next to you because, of all the places in its territory, this is the one where it feels most at peace. Close your eyes. Feel the weight of the cat, real or imagined, settled against you. Let your breathing slow to match its rhythm, and allow yourself, like the cat, to rest. A cat always lands on its feet. This is one of those facts that sounds like folklore, but is, in fact, physics. Remarkable physics. Physics that puzzled scientists for over a century because it appeared on the surface to violate a fundamental law of motion. The problem is this: when a cat is dropped upside down, it rotates its body in mid-air and lands feet first. But nothing is pushing it. Nothing is spinning it. It was released from rest, in an inverted position, with zero angular momentum. And the law of conservation of angular momentum states that an object with zero angular momentum cannot begin to rotate. It has no spin, and in the absence of an external force, it should remain spinless. The cat should fall upside down and land on its back. The cat does not do this. The cat twists gracefully and rapidly and lands on its feet every time. And for decades, physicists could not satisfactorily explain how. The answer, when it was finally worked out through a combination of high-speed photography and biomechanical analysis, turned out to be one of the most elegant solutions in the natural world. The cat does not rotate as a single, rigid body. It bends. It divides itself effectively into two halves, the front half and the back half, and rotates them independently in opposite directions. Here is how it works. The cat first tucks its front legs in close to its chest, reducing the rotational inertia of the front half of its body. At the same time, it extends its back legs outward, increasing the rotational inertia of the rear half. Then it rotates its front half. Because the front has low inertia, it turns quickly and through a large angle. The back half, with its higher inertia, counter-rotates only slightly in the opposite direction, barely moving. The cat then switches. It extends its front legs and tucks its back legs, and rotates the rear half to match the front. The result is a net rotation of the whole body without ever violating the conservation of angular momentum. At no point does the total angular momentum change from zero. The cat is not spinning. It is twisting, using differential rotation between its two halves, and the physics is impeccable. The entire maneuver takes less than a third of a second. A cat dropped from a height of roughly 60 centimeters, about the height of a kitchen counter, can complete the righting reflex before it hits the ground. The minimum height required is debated, but most researchers place it at around 30 centimeters, roughly 1 foot. Below that, there simply is not enough time for the sequence to complete, and the cat may land awkwardly. The writing reflex appears in kittens at approximately 3 to 4 weeks of age and is fully developed by 7 weeks. It is not learned. It is innate, hardwired into the vestibular system and the spinal cord, a reflex so deeply embedded that it operates faster than conscious thought. The cat does not decide to twist. The cat twists, and the decision, if it can be called that, happens in the brainstem, below the level of awareness. There is a counterintuitive finding from veterinary medicine that is worth knowing here. In 1987, 2 veterinarians in New York City published a study of cats that had fallen from high-rise buildings, a phenomenon common enough in the city to have its own name: high-rise syndrome. They examined 132 cats that had been brought to a Manhattan emergency clinic after falling from buildings ranging from 2 to 32 stories. Every cat in the study had survived the initial fall, though injuries varied. The surprising finding was about the relationship between height and injury. As you would expect, injuries increased as the fall height increased, from 2 stories up to about 7. But above 7 stories, the injuries began to decrease. Cats that fell from higher than 7 floors were, on average, less severely injured than cats that fell from 5 or 6. The proposed explanation involves terminal velocity. A falling cat accelerates under gravity until the air resistance equals its weight, at which point it stops accelerating and reaches terminal velocity, approximately 97 kilometers per hour for a cat in a spread eagle posture. This happens after a fall of roughly 5 to 7 stories. Below this height, the cat is still accelerating. Its muscles are braced, its body is tense, and the impact transmits force directly through rigid limbs. But once the cat reaches terminal velocity and stops accelerating, something changes. The vestibular system, which has been signaling increasing speed, suddenly signals constant speed. The cat relaxes. It spreads its legs outward, increasing air resistance and adopting a posture similar to a flying squirrel, which further slows it and distributes the impact across a larger surface area on landing. The relaxed muscles absorb the shock far more effectively than tensed ones. A cat falling from a great height lands more gently than a cat falling from a moderate one because it has time to reach a state of calm. There is a lesson in that, perhaps, though it is not one that anyone should test. Your cat has brought you something. It is on the doormat or on the kitchen floor or, if you are particularly fortunate, on your pillow. It is a mouse, or half a mouse, or a bird, or an insect of significant size, and it is almost certainly dead, though not always. The cat is sitting beside it with an expression that, if you are inclined to read it generously, looks like pride. Why does it do this? The behavior is rooted in the predatory sequence, and understanding the sequence is the key to understanding almost everything your cat does when it appears to be playing, hunting, or presenting you with unwanted gifts. The full hunting sequence in cats runs through 5 distinct stages: stalk, chase, pounce, kill, and eat. Each stage is triggered independently. This is critical and widely misunderstood. The stages are not a single continuous behavior that runs from start to finish, like a program. They are separate modules, each one capable of being activated on its own, and each one producing its own reward in the cat's brain. The cat does not stalk because it wants to eat. The cat stalks because stalking itself is rewarding. The pounce is rewarding. The chase is rewarding. Each step generates its own hit of satisfaction, independent of whether the sequence completes. This is why your indoor cat will stalk a ball of paper with the same intensity it would bring to a live mouse. It is not pretending the paper is prey. It is not practicing for a hunt that will never come. It is experiencing the genuine neurological reward of the stalk phase, and that reward is real and complete in itself. The ball of paper does not need to be alive. It does not need to be food. It just needs to move in a way that triggers the stalk module, and the cat's brain does the rest. It is also why cats appear to play with their prey. A cat that catches a mouse and then releases it, bats it around, catches it again, and releases it again is not being cruel, at least not in the way that humans understand cruelty. The cat is cycling through the pounce and catch stages of the sequence, each repetition triggering another burst of reward. The kill module has not yet fired, and until it does, the cat will continue to engage with the prey in a way that looks, to human eyes, like torture, but is, to the cat, simply the continuation of a deeply satisfying behavior chain. The killing bite, when it comes, is precise. Cats kill small prey by biting the back of the neck, severing the spinal cord between the vertebrae. The spacing of a cat's canine teeth is almost exactly matched to the spacing of the vertebrae in a mouse's neck. This is not coincidence. It is tens of millions of years of predatory evolution producing a tool that fits its purpose with mechanical precision. And then there is the question of why the cat brings the dead mouse to you. There are several theories, and the honest answer is that science has not settled on one definitively. The most commonly cited is the teaching theory. Female cats in the wild bring dead and injured prey to their kittens as part of a graduated teaching program. First, the mother brings dead prey for the kittens to eat. Then, she brings injured but alive prey for them to practice catching. Then, she brings fully live prey for them to hunt independently. It is a curriculum, delivered in stages, designed to teach the full predatory sequence. When your cat brings you a dead mouse, the theory goes, it is treating you as a kitten. A large, incompetent kitten that it has never once seen catch anything. The cat has been watching you for years, and in all that time you have never stalked, chased, pounced on, or killed a single piece of prey. You are, from the cat's perspective, a hopeless hunter, and it is attempting, gently, to begin your education. Other researchers suggest the behavior is simpler. The cat brings prey home because home is the safe place, and the safe place is where valuable things belong. The mouse is a resource, and the cat is storing it where resources are stored. You happen to be there when it arrives, and the cat's cheerful demeanor upon presentation may simply be the satisfaction of a job completed, rather than a gift intended for you specifically. A third possibility is that the cat is, in fact, sharing. We discussed the social bonds that cats form, the grooming, the proximity, the reciprocal trust. In colonies, cats occasionally share food with preferred associates. Your cat may be extending this behavior to you, offering a portion of its hunt to the individual it spends the most time with. It is, in this reading, a genuine gift, offered in the language of a predator to an animal that does not speak it. Whatever the reason, the appropriate response is not disgust, though disgust is understandable. The appropriate response from the cat's perspective is appreciation. The cat has done something difficult and dangerous and has chosen to share the result with you. That it chose a mouse rather than a bunch of flowers is simply a matter of cultural difference. And then there is the chattering. If your cat has ever sat at a window watching a bird on the other side of the glass, you may have heard it. A rapid, stuttering sound, almost like teeth clicking together, sometimes accompanied by a chirping or twittering vocalization. The jaw moves quickly in small, sharp movements, and the cat's entire body is tense with focus. It is one of the most distinctive sounds a cat makes, and it is heard almost exclusively in this context, when the cat can see prey but cannot reach it. The explanation is not entirely settled. One theory is that the chattering is a frustration response, the motor program for the killing bite firing without a target to bite. The jaw movements mimic the rapid bite sequence that would sever a bird's spinal cord, and the sound is simply the acoustic byproduct of the jaws snapping on empty air. Another theory suggests it may be a form of mimicry, an attempt by the cat to imitate bird calls and lure prey closer, though the evidence for this is thinner. What is clear is that the sound is involuntary. The cat does not choose to chatter. The predatory drive fires, the kill module activates and the body responds before the brain can intervene. It is a small, strange, faintly comical moment. Your cat sitting on a windowsill in a heated house, watching a pigeon through double glazing, vibrating with the intensity of a predator whose body remembers the hunt even when the hunt is impossible. 60 million years of predatory evolution expressed as a clicking sound on a Tuesday afternoon. The wildcat is still in there underneath the soft fur and the slow blinks and the kneading paws. It has always been in there, and sometimes, at the window, you catch a glimpse of it. There is a thing that happens in your brain when you stroke a cat. It is not a metaphor, and it is not a feeling. It is a measurable, chemical event, as real and as specific as the release of adrenaline when you are frightened, or the rush of endorphins after exercise. When your hand moves across the fur of a cat, slowly, with that particular gentle pressure that both of you seem to understand without ever having been taught, your brain releases oxytocin. This is the same hormone that is released during breastfeeding, during physical affection between partners, during the moments after childbirth when a mother first holds her infant. It is the bonding hormone, the chemical foundation of attachment, trust, and the feeling of being safe in the presence of another living creature. And your brain produces it in response to contact with a cat. The cat's brain releases oxytocin too. This is important. It is not a one-sided transaction. When a cat is being stroked by a person it trusts, its oxytocin levels rise measurably. The cat is not merely tolerating your touch. It is experiencing a neurochemical response that mirrors your own, a shared biological event that both of you are participating in simultaneously, each reinforcing the other's sense of comfort and connection. You are not imagining that the cat enjoys it. The chemistry confirms it. The physiological effects extend well beyond the moment of contact. Regular interaction with cats has been associated with lower resting blood pressure, reduced levels of cortisol, the primary stress hormone, and a decrease in the frequency and intensity of anxiety-related symptoms. These are not anecdotal observations from cat enthusiasts. They are findings from controlled studies, replicated across multiple populations, published in peer-reviewed journals. The cardiovascular data is particularly striking. The University of Minnesota study that followed more than 4,000 adults over 10 years found that people who had owned a cat at some point in their lives were approximately 40% less likely to die of a heart attack than people who had never owned one. 40%. The researchers controlled for age, sex, blood pressure, cholesterol, smoking, diabetes, and body mass index. The effect persisted. Cat ownership, independent of all other risk factors, was associated with a significant reduction in cardiovascular mortality. Other studies have examined the mechanisms more closely. The rhythmic act of stroking a cat has been shown to lower heart rate within minutes. The sound of a purr, as we discussed earlier, vibrates at frequencies that promote tissue repair and reduce inflammation. The simple presence of a resting cat in a room reduces the occupant's physiological markers of stress, even if the person and the cat are not in physical contact. Something about sharing a space with a calm, warm, breathing animal appears to communicate safety to the human nervous system in a way that no inanimate object or digital screen can replicate. Hospitals have known this for decades. Therapy cat programs exist in care. Homes, psychiatric facilities, children's hospitals, and rehabilitation centres around the world. The cats are selected for temperament, trained to tolerate handling by strangers, and brought into clinical environments where their presence has been documented to reduce pain perception in post-surgical patients, decrease agitation in dementia patients, lower anxiety in children awaiting procedures, and improve mood and social engagement in residents of long-term care facilities. The cat does not need to do anything. It simply needs to be there, warm and alive and unhurried, and the humans around it begin to calm down. There is a theory in psychology called biophilia, proposed by the biologist E.O. Wilson, which suggests that humans have an innate, evolved tendency to seek connection with other living things. We are drawn to nature not because we are taught to appreciate it, but because our brains are wired for it, shaped by hundreds of thousands of years of living in close contact with animals and plants and the rhythms of the natural world. The modern human, surrounded by screens and concrete and artificial light, is living in an environment that is, from an evolutionary perspective, profoundly unnatural. The presence of an animal, even a small one, even a sleeping one, satisfies something in the brain that the built environment cannot. The cat, in this context, is not just a pet. It is a bridge to something older and deeper, a living connection to the natural world that sits in your lap and purrs at a frequency that heals bone. It is not surprising that the internet fell in love with cats. It is not surprising that cat videos became, for a time, the most watched content on the platform that would come to define a generation's relationship with media. The appeal of watching a cat is not trivial. It is the appeal of watching something alive and unhurried and entirely itself in a world that increasingly demands that everything be optimized, productive, and performing for an audience. The cat does not perform. The cat does not optimize. The cat sits in a sunbeam and closes its eyes, and something in the human brain recognizes this as the most honest thing it has seen all day. There is a behavior that nearly every cat owner has experienced, but that few can fully explain. The cat needs. It presses its front paws into a soft surface, alternating left and right in a slow, rhythmic pushing motion, sometimes extending and retracting its claws, sometimes purring deeply, sometimes closing its eyes in what appears to be profound contentment. It does this on blankets, on pillows, on your lap, on your stomach, on the soft part of your arm. It does it slowly and deliberately, and it often seems to enter a state of deep relaxation while doing it, as though the motion itself is soothing something that words cannot reach. Kneading is a behavior that originates in kittenhood. Newborn kittens knead their mother's belly while nursing, pressing their tiny paws rhythmically against the mammary glands to stimulate the flow of milk. The motion is instinctive, present from the first feed, and it is associated from the very beginning with warmth, nourishment, safety, and the closest physical bond the kitten will ever know. Adult cats that knead are, in a sense, returning to that moment. The behavior persists long after weaning because the associations it carries, comfort, security, trust, never fade. When your cat kneads your lap, it is not confused about whether you are its mother. It is expressing a state of emotional comfort so deep that it reaches back to the earliest and safest experience of its life. It is the behavioral equivalent of a sigh of absolute contentment, a gesture that says, without words, that this moment feels as safe as the very first moments of being alive. Some cats drool while kneading, some close their eyes, Some purr so deeply that their entire body vibrates. The trance-like quality of the behavior suggests that it activates a genuine neurological reward pathway, a circuit that was established in infancy and that continues to fire reliably and pleasurably for the rest of the cat's life. The cat is not just comfortable, it is experiencing something closer to bliss, and it is choosing to experience it with you, on your lap, against your body, in your presence. This is not a small thing. For an animal that descended from a solitary predator, an animal that has never been bred for dependence, an animal that retains the wild ability to survive entirely on its own, the choice to settle into your lap and knead and purr is an act of trust so complete that it would be easy to underestimate. The cat is telling you, in the oldest language it knows, that you are home. There is something else that cats do that is worth mentioning here, near the end, because it is one of the smallest and most easily missed gestures in the entire repertoire of cat behavior, and it may be the most meaningful. A cat will sometimes walk up to you, press the top of its head firmly against your hand, your leg, your face, and hold it there. Not a quick rub, not a passing brush, a sustained, deliberate press. The forehead pushing into you with gentle but unmistakable intention. This is called bunting, and it is a behavior that cats reserve for individuals they trust completely. The forehead is one of the primary sites of pheromone-producing glands. When a cat bunts you, it is depositing its scent on you, marking you as part of its world. But bunting is not the same as the casual cheek rubbing that cats do on furniture and door frames. Bunting is directed. It is personal. It is an action that requires the cat to close its eyes, lower its defenses, and press the most vulnerable part of its skull against you. A cat that bunts you is not just marking you. It is choosing you. It is saying in the quiet, physical language of its species that you are trusted, that you are valued, and that you belong to each other. Cats do not give this gesture to everyone. They do not give it to strangers. They give it to the person whose scent they know, whose voice they recognize, whose presence makes the room feel safe. If your cat has ever pressed its head into your hand and held it there, with its eyes closed and its body relaxed, you have received one of the rarest and most genuine expressions of affection that any animal is capable of giving. And you did not need to earn it through obedience or training or commands. You earned it by being there, by being consistent, by being gentle, by being the person who came home every day and sat down and was still. The cat noticed, the cat remembered, and the cat, in its own time, decided to trust you. That is the nature of the deal. It was never about ownership. It was never about control. It was about two creatures separated by millions of years of evolution, finding something in each other that neither quite expected. The cat found warmth and safety and a reliable source of food. The human found something harder to name but no less essential. A presence, a weight on the lap, a purr in the dark, a slow blink across a room that says, without a single word, I see you. I am here. You are not alone. Outside, the night is quiet. The streetlights are on, casting their small amber circles on the pavement. Somewhere in the neighborhood, a cat is walking along a fence, placing each paw with the careful precision of an animal that has been navigating narrow surfaces for 60 million years. Its ears are turning, catching sounds that the sleeping street will never know about. Its whiskers are reading the air. Its eyes, with their reflective mirrors, are turning the faint glow of a distant window into a clear and navigable world. It is not thinking about you. It is not thinking about tomorrow. It is moving through the dark with the unhurried confidence of a creature that knows exactly where it is and exactly what it is doing. It has always known. its ancestors knew. The wildcats in the Fertile Crescent knew, and the cats on the Phoenician ships knew, and the cats in the temples of Bubastis knew, and the cats in the trenches of the Somme knew, and the cat on your bed knows. It knows that the dark is not empty, that the night is not silent, that the world is full of information for anyone with the senses to read it and the patience to pay attention. And it knows with the quiet certainty that comes from 10,000 years of choosing to stay, that when the morning comes and the light begins to filter through the curtains and the house begins to stir, it will walk to the end of the bed, settle its weight against your feet, and wait. Not because it has to, not because it was trained to, because you are its person, because this is its home, because of all the houses in the world and all the laps and all the sunbeams and all the high places and warm places and hidden places, it chose this one. It chose you. Sleep well. Good night.